the SheTalks came about because we realized there was a prevalent culture of silence, especially amongst women. Women would talk, but then in public and in spaces of influence, there was really an issue of shrinking spaces where women were not able to clearly voice out their issues, their concerns, and for it to actually propel change. So at the same time, there are also patriarchal systems of oppression at hand. And so we wanted to create a safe space where women could come together, sit, discuss about the issues that affect them, and then together we can find solutions to these issues.
We always get a question as well around why she talks, why not we talk, or why not he talks. And we always say it's a deliberate effort. It's intentional because if we're going to dismantle the patriarchal systems that we're talking about, if we're going to change those narratives, it's critical that we're intentional about creating spaces for women to engage. Now, are men welcome to these dialogues? Yes, of course they are. But then we always say it's a space where even as men, when we come in as allies, and we create a space where women talk about issues that matter to them. So we have three ways we do the talks. The standard dialogues, these are more at policy level. We engage policymakers, but in very informal settings. So we take away the protocol, we bring the minister, we bring civic society, we have drinks and samosas and whatever, and then we talk as human beings. Our community dialogues, the way we structure them, we don't come with an agenda. We say to women and girls, what are the issues? Our role is to create a safe space. So we make sure that the space we create is safe, and then they can come and actually feel like, oh, I can actually share whatever I want to. And they come up with their own agendas and they create their own solutions. And then we do work with students a lot. And we have one success story that we will share at the end with our work with students. And we also have three formats. So we have a TED style format, which you experienced today. We also have the circle of power, which you experienced. Now, why the circle of power? I think from our experience, taking or bridging the distance between the stage and the audience, it creates a bond of trust. It says, I'm coming in as a panelist, I have an idea to share, but I also want to listen to you. So we find that people engage more. So we don't do the normal panel, we do what we call the circle of power. And our create talks, these are more designed at creating solutions, practical solutions. So we gather people together, it's like a hackathon, have dialogue. But how many are tired of just having dialogue that ends in the air? And not, so we then say, we've talked, now what do we want to create? So we've had women creating businesses out of those dialogues. We've had women creating practical solutions to the problems that they are facing from those dialogues. We started the SheTalks in January of this year, actually. And we've hosted 46 dialogues. And by December, we would have hosted 65 dialogues. One interesting thing we're doing in the next few weeks for 16 days of activism, we're doing 16 days, 16 dialogues, and all of them are SheTalks with different partners. So it's going to be amazing. So by end of the year 65, 1,771 people have been part of our conversations at different levels. Now, in terms of our long-term impact, what we are now seeing in terms of lasting change, the voices of women and girls are getting amplified. Now, ever since we started the SheTalks, we've done a series on ending violence against women and girls. We've had 62 direct cases that have been reported from people who were in the conversations, which is huge for us in terms of people actually finding their voices to speak on issues. When it comes to the issue of urgency, we have women now asking questions that matter to the people that need to answer to those questions. I mean, we're bringing women, we have dialogues where we bring policymakers and vendors, and they sit at the same table and women ask them the difficult questions. I think what we're doing is strengthening the women's movement in Malawi. Like I said earlier, 1,771 people have been a part of it, and most of them are women. And you are now finding this solidarity and women speaking with one voice. From a policy perspective, directly the SheTalks have contributed to two major policies so far this year. Number one is the issue of the ratification of ILO Convention 190. It's still not yet ratified, but we're at an advanced stage because we've had SheTalks decent work dialogues with ministers with different stakeholders, Congress of Trade Unions, International Labour Organization, and we are contributing to that. The other policy we have contributed to has to be the creation of campus-based sexual harassment policies, because most tertiary institutions didn't have that. And then in terms of power, I think women are regaining their power. They are able to stake their claim and stand for what they believe. So those are some of the things that we're actually now beginning to see in terms of long-term impact.